What's up, guys? It's me, Doc, from SampleKings.com. I want to thank a lot of you people for actually watching our videos and helping us to grow the channel. But currently, we are realizing that we need to have more members, as YouTube tells us. In order to do this, I want to implore you to take the time to hit the subscribe button. So please, subscribe. It does help.
Yo, what's up, everyone? It's me, Doc, coming to you from SampleKings.com. Let's talk about that moment. You know the one. You've spent hours, maybe days, on a mix. You've got the drums knocking. The vocals are sitting right. But then you look over at your master fader, and it's ugly. Everything is slamming into the red. You're peaking at +3, +4. And even though it's loud, the mix feels small. It feels squashed. There's no air and no life. And you can't hear the separation between the kick and the bass. You try to turn things down, but then the whole vibe disappears. The problem isn't your EQ, it's not your fancy new compressor, and it's not your monitors. The problem is your gain staging. Most producers ignore this, but today I'm going to show you the pro secret to volume management. I'm going to show you how to set up your session so every single instrument has its own special place. By the end of this video, your mixes are finally actually going to breathe. Let's get into it. Now, before we touch a single knob, we have to address the big myth. A lot of people think gain staging is just a fancy word for volume control, but it's deeper than that, way deeper. It's about the soul of your gear. In the old days, the golden era of recording, we worked on big analog consoles. We used tape machines, and in that world, we had to fight two enemies. One was the noise floor. That's that constant hiss you'd hear in the background. If your signal was too quiet, the hiss would swallow your music. Two was distortion. If you pushed the signal too hard, the tubes and transformers would start to saturate. Sometimes it sounded good, but most of the time, it just sounded messy. But then, the world went digital. In your DAW, in Pro Tools, Logic, Ableton, the rules changed. We have almost infinite room at the bottom. The noise floor is practically gone, but we have a hard ceiling at the top. 0 decibels, full scale. That is the cliff. In the analog world, you could go a little over 0 and it sounded warm. In the digital world, you go over 0 and the computer just cuts your waveform off. It's digital clipping, and it sounds like garbage. Here is the secret. Most of your modern plugins, especially the ones modeled after vintage gear, are designed to hear audio at a specific level. They are programmed to behave like those old analog circuits. If you blast a plugin with a signal peaking at -1 or -2, you are choking that plugin. It won't react the way the engineers designed it to. We want our average levels, our sweet spot, to sit right around -18 decibels, FS. When you hit that -18 mark, you're telling your computer, hey, I'm giving you the perfect amount of energy to work with. You're giving your mix room to breathe, and you're giving yourself the headroom to actually finish the track. All right, so we know about the sweet spot. We know about -18, but how do we actually get there? The first mistake I see almost every producer make is waiting until they start the mix to fix their volume. They pull up a session, they see their kick drum is slamming at -2, and they just grab the fader and pull it down. Stop. Don't do that. When you pull a fader down, you're changing the volume after it has already traveled through all your plugins. You're just hiding the problem at the end of the line. Before you even touch a fader, before you even think about an EQ, you need to look at your actual waveform. This is where clip gain comes in. Think of clip gain as your pre-fader volume. It's the raw energy of the file itself. If you recorded a vocal too hot, or if you bought a sample pack where the loops are normalized to 0, you are already starting the race with a flat tire. I want you to go through every single track in your session. Look at the meters. If that snare is hitting the red, use the clip gain tool to bring that waveform down until the peaks are sitting around -12. And the meat of the sound is averaging around -18. When you do this, you're giving your plugins headroom. Headroom isn't just empty space, it's safety space. It's the room your compressor needs to actually compress. It's the room your saturator needs to add harmonics without turning into digital static. By setting your clip gain correctly, you're starting your mix with a clean slate. Your faders can stay at 0, and your plugins can finally actually do their job. This is the foundation, and if the foundation is solid, the house is going to stand. Take the time to do this for every track. It might feel like extra work, but trust me, it's the difference between a bedroom demo and a pro master. Now, we've got our clip gain set. Our levels are sitting pretty at -18, but now it's time to actually mix. This is where things usually go wrong. You pull up an EQ, you boost the high end to get some air on the vocal, and suddenly that track is 3 decibels louder than it was before. Then you add a compressor, you squash the signal, and you use the makeup gain to bring the volume back up, but you bring it up just a little bit too much. By the time you have 3 or 4 plugins on a single track, you've completely destroyed your gain staging. You're back in the red and your headroom is gone. Listen closely. This is the golden rule of professional mixing. Input and output matching. Pause. Every single time you add a plugin, I want you to look at the in meter and the out meter on that plugin. If the signal coming in is at -18, the signal leaving that plugin must be at -18. Why? Because of loudness bias. Our human brains are wired to think that louder is better. If you turn an EQ knob and the volume goes up, you're going to think it sounds amazing. But it's usually just louder. When you match the output gain to the input, you're forcing yourself to be honest. You're asking, does this EQ actually make the vocal sound better, or am I just tricked by the volume? By keeping the level consistent through the entire chain, you ensure that every instrument stays in its special place. You aren't fighting the faders, and you aren't choking the next plugin in the line. Keep it clean, keep it level, and your mix will stay balanced from the first plugin to the last. All right, we've reached the finish line. You've set your clip gain, you've matched your plugin levels, and your individual tracks are all breathing at -18. Now, it's time to move those faders. A lot of people ask me, Doc, why does it matter? Why can't I just have loud tracks and pull the fader way down? Here is why. Your DAW faders are not linear. They don't work the same at the bottom as they do at the top. This is called fader resolution. Look at the top of your fader near the 0 mark. The distance between 0 and -5 is huge. You have a lot of real estate there. If you move your finger a tiny bit, you're making a 0.2 or a 0.5 decibel change. That is high resolution. That is where surgical mixing happens. Now, look at the bottom of the fader, down near -40 or -60. The markings are crushed together. In that zone, a tiny movement of your mouse or your finger might change the volume by 10 decibels. If your gain staging is bad and your tracks are too hot, you'll be forced to mix with your faders way down in that red zone at the bottom. You'll be fighting to make small adjustments and you'll never get the balance right. By keeping your levels at -18, your faders stay right in the sweet spot near the top. You have the most precision and the most control. And finally, look at your master bus because every track is gain staged. Your master bus isn't screaming. You'll have about 6 decibels of headroom left over. That is exactly what a mastering engineer wants to see. You've created a mix with clarity, with punch, and with the space for every instrument to sit in its own special place. That's how the pros do it. No magic plugins, just solid discipline. So, that's the blueprint. 1. Fix your levels at the source with clip gain. 2. Match your inputs and outputs on every single plugin. And 3. Keep your faders in the high resolution zone to maintain control of your mix. If you follow these steps, I promise you, your mixes are going to sound wider, deeper, and more professional than ever before. If this video helped you, do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're putting out content like this all the time to help you level up your production game. And if you want the best sample packs and deeper training on gear like the MPC or Logic Pro, head over to SampleKings.com. I'm Doc, keep creating, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.